Lawrence Dunbar wrote, "We wear the mask. Where do you relax and take off the mask?"
You should be able to take off that mask in your place of tranquility. And really, it should be at home. Because if you can't be yourself at home, where are you truly allowed to be yourself? You got some people that run away from home and to get to work or what have you. And once they get to work, they feel like, oh, I can take my mask off here. When at the same token, you're really trying to be somebody else. So you should be able to take your mask off at home and let your children see who you really are.
Mr. Dunbar wrote Masks in 1892. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It shades our cheeks and hides our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding heart, we smile and mouth with myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but oh my God, our tears to thee from tortured souls arise. And we sing, hey, baby, bye. We sing, hey, but oh, the clay is vile beneath our feet and long the mile. But let the world think otherwise. We wear the mask.
There was a time, especially in my 20s, where there was a distinct mask that had to be worn because there was a literal shame and embarrassment associated with my background.
About 150 miles north of here, there are fires burning wild. The smoke from those fires had brought itself to the Bay Area, and people began to purchase these masks. But I want to talk to you about some different kind of masks. A group of young men that we worked with at a middle school here in East Oakland who told me that every day, this is before the fire, this is for the time they've been in middle school, that they come to school wearing a mask. Every day, they get up in the morning, they get ready, show up to middle school, and they bring their mask with them. But these masks you can't see. And these masks are not to protect them from some fumes or smoke or something in the air that is subparticles that you can't even see. Their mask is to protect them from other people. What if you, thinking back to yourself in middle school, did you have to wear a mask? How did you have to show up to middle school every day so that you could fit the part? So you could be a part of the community? So you could fit in or not fit in or just be? I realized that these young men, as they were talking about their mask, and in a very anonymous way, were really clear that every day they showed up to school, they had to show a certain part of themselves. Funny, happy, cool. Remember middle school? But the same young men realized that the things they couldn't show on the mask was family problems. Their real life, the real stuff they were going through. And some of them even said, you know what, I can't even tell you what I can't tell you. That's how serious it is. Think about yourself in middle school. What were you going through that you couldn't tell anybody about? What were some things that you were dealing with when you were in middle school that you realized that, oh, I can't tell anybody about this. There's nobody to talk to about this.
At that time, pre-20s, being a student at Michigan State, I would allow individuals to make the assumption that I had two working parents, and I came from this highly well-functioning family unit and so forth and so on, I felt that it was easier and more advantageous to allow people to believe that perception without going into the reality that I pretty much was in primarily a single parent household with a father that was fluctuating in and out. But as I progressively got older, it just became too difficult. It became too difficult and too trying to not just be present and be who I am at all times. So while I would say that where I'm at now, there isn't necessarily the need or the necessity to wear a mask, I'll say that there may be more moments of being quiet or not necessarily going in depth, but I would find that, and I'm not saying that it would be impossible, but for me it would be too trying and too difficult to present a completely different image of an individual versus staying authentic to who I am.
The place I go, sometimes, most times it's off, but sometimes it has to come on, depending upon what's going on there, is the gym. Where I go to, I also go to work, I go to work out, but it's also kind of like what they were saying on Cheers, Everybody Knows Your Name, because I go in there frequently enough that there's a certain bond. It's like a barbershop in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't go to the barbershop often enough to get this. So there's some, am I trying to improve my mental and physical? Yes, I am. But I'm also working on my spiritual and have some type of sense of community and collectivity, yes. Just like I would, it's kind of a variation of, I remember when I was doing my study before I got with you at the graduate school, and to understand each community I was in, I went to the McDonald's to describe the demographics. It was really it was compelling, because what I was seeing, the demographics of these particular cities, I would compare them, say, well, these are the people that weren't here. These people, then I would describe the campuses. So, in those McDonald's, sometimes I see old men in there. They might be playing, I don't know, checkers or whatever. Sometimes they're just talking. Mm-hmm. And so I said, maybe this is kind of like my old man activity, going in here, because I am trying to keep myself physically fit, but at the same time, I chop it up with people in there. It's such it's really interesting, even though, I mean, it's mainly us in there, but there are other groups, there are whites in there every now and then, there's some Indians, some Asians, but it's mainly us. And since I've been going there quite a while, a lot of people know me by name, but the ones that don't know me by name know who I am. And it's very, very important. And one of the guys in there was saying that, well, I knew his brother. His brother was, he's a postal carrier. His brother worked at Renaissance. And he was saying, now that I'm not with the DPS anymore, he said, this is your job. And I said, wow, this is your job, to be in here doing this, keeping yourself together. And I said, okay. So now I sometimes, text people and say, well, how's it work?
Yeah. Because
that's kind of like, so there's a lot that can be learned in there. I'm very, very receptive. Of course, we talk about sports because, it's a big topic of conversation a lot of times. But there's a culture in there, and I think people need to be cognizant of it. Some of the problems you have is when you're not adhering to cultural norms. And some of the cultural norms relate to respect. And so some of the stuff we talk about in the book, the Man Code, a lot of that applies to the gym environment. And so I've been in the spirit, especially being an elder, of speaking to as many people as will listen to me and talking to them, cracking jokes on, so whatever it is. That's part of my socialization, part of me chopping it up, but also it's part of me allowing me to exist in that environment, because we're sharing a space. This is not somebody's private. This is a pretty, the one I go to is one of the bigger gyms probably in this area. So that's good too, because people don't have to be right up on each other, but we're sharing this space. Nobody owns the space. And so when you're doing that, hey, you still using this right here? You know, that type of thing. You still on this piece of equipment? You're always trying to, and be in the spirit of respect, regardless of how big somebody is, how young, old, so on and so forth.